Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We are glad you're with us. What is it like to become a pilot in your 40s and 50s? The challenges are unique for those of us in midlife, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences of being a midlife pilot. Join the Midlife Pilot community and listen in every week. We are not CFIs or particularly intelligent, so if you want to learn how to fly, talk to anyone else other than the hosts of a podcast. Even this intro was too challenging for us, and we used a robot to do it. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello, and welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Whether you're a seasoned pilot, training for a rating, or just thinking about getting started in aviation, we like to think of the podcast as your aviation companion and your weekly dose of aviation inspiration. My name is Ben. I'm a pilot with an IFR rating and a commercial certificate based in the metro Atlanta area. I fly a Cessna 182, I like to call the Beast. Joining me tonight from his home in the Bachelorette Super Charlie, right there on Music Row, it's our friend Brian, flying a Cherokee 180 named Lucy. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. And wow, I was going to say, it's so nice that we're all sort of back in our home spots and, we've kind of collected ourselves. But look here, the video friends here can see that Ted is clearly finishing up his rehab and has not been released yet. But it seems like one of those nice rehabs where it's kind of scenic. It's sort of like it's a resort kind of experience. Yeah. So, which is great. It precludes us from having to have done the intervention and all of that stuff. So that's good. But yeah, I'm just glad everybody's here, and it's good to see people in the chat, and we are all on the other side of the big Texas send and in one piece. So yeah.
Amen to that. Yeah. And as Brian has mentioned, joining us tonight, go ahead. You've got your finger up. You want to say something?
You said in one piece. Okay.
Oh,
last episode, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that was covered extensively. Joining us from somewhere in the mountain time zone, who is normally based in Portlandia. He flies a flight design CTLS we like to call the Egg. It's our friend Ted, who has flown 700 hours in the last 7 days.
Week and a half. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Yeah.
How many hours have you flown?
We'll get into that when we go to the recap. Yeah.
Okay.
So I am in Utah, and the background is very beautiful here, which is great for an audio only podcast. But I have been really struggling with time zone math. It's like, wait a minute, what time is the podcast? And because it's like, I've been in a bunch, and yeah, it's great to be here though.
You should take a still image with after you're done, move yourself out of the way, remove the chair, take a still image of exactly that, and then just use it as your fake background going forward. It's really nice.
Wait a minute, that's what it is already. So,
yeah.
I do want to know what the, I'm going to guess that's a chicken sitting in the window.
That is
a emotional support chicken.
It's an emotional support flamingo.
Oh, flamingo.
I'm in an undisclosed location, and it's a person who likes flamingos that normally is in this room.
Understood.
So
okay.
I did move it to be in the picture though, just because it brings a little bit of levity to the situation.
Nice. Nice. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about our kind of a recap, but also, lessons learned, takeaways, observations. Ted's throwing that up on the screen now. And we'd like to hear from the chat as well, things that you might have learned from making the adventure, the journey to Tango 82 and back home.
Planning versus reality.
Yeah. It's a good way to call it out. Brian, have you...
To be clear, any long cross countries that you've done are ones you've learned from. So this isn't just for our Texas crowd. Yeah.
Right. Great point. Thank you for calling that out. Yeah. Brian, have you had a chance to get up in the air between T82 and here? Because I haven't. I think I kind of I don't want to be in the plane for a little bit.
We will get into this, but I feel that I have maxed myself out for a good while, and it's kind of nice. I did have that experience that I talked about an episode or two episodes ago, where I hadn't flown for 42 days or whatever it was with the annual situation. And, you know, once you get to a certain point, you can just jump right back in, and it's not you don't have a huge drop off, you know? And so given that I wasn't really working my way back from much to then do all the flying I did before to kind of make sure I was ready and get my night currency and all those things to then go and do all of that flying, I am pretty well satiated, but more importantly, my wallet is, and so, but yeah. And, you know, just on that note, again, Patreon supporters of this community helped make this happen, in ways that we were able to sort of continue to run all the operations of the podcast while also traveling and doing all the things. And it's because you guys are so benevolent and kind and pity us enough to help us. And so, really appreciate that. So as much as we might be, draining our bank accounts on fuel, at least we know that, a lot of these other pieces that are the operational overhead of the podcast are covered. And so thank you for that.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I have not, I went out to the plane to update databases. That's the closest I came to flying. And,
was that too close? Were you like, nope?
No.
Yeah.
It kind of just gave me the taste. I kind of almost went in and did a couple of laps in the pattern, but I plan on maybe trying to go up this weekend, maybe take some friends up or something. Just some more recreational gas burning, as Brian likes to say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And shout out to our friend Lewis. He, during this trip, we had a lot of conversations around instrument flying. And obviously everybody knows that I'm dying to get my instrument rating. It just takes resources to do that. And I'm anxious to do it. I want to do it. He, had a great point though. And he texted me some things after the fact too that are really helpful. But basically he was saying, we were sort of building a list together of here are all the things that you can do now. Basically everything you do from this point forward should really be only and solely focused on getting your instrument rating. So if you're using any time, any resources, no more fun. It's no more, nice day. Let's go get something to eat flying or anything like that. It's gotta be, directly attributed to that path. And so I've been living by that, which means I'm not flying right now, but I've been studying and getting into that. I can feel it starting to take hold. And, so it's good. Also, side note, not really related to flying, in this way, but, you guys see this thing right here? You see what that is?
It looks like a recorder. Is that a cassette, like a mini tape recorder?
Yeah.
It is a dictaphone,
Ooh.
It's got the little tiny cassettes.
Yeah.
These little guys.
Yeah.
So when we were going through my father-in-law's stuff and, that he doesn't need anymore back in the shelves, and found a whole binder. I've got it around here somewhere, full of dictaphone tapes that are labeled with all of his instrument training on it. So he was recording his instructor and all of the conversations on this dictaphone. And so I am slowly but surely capturing all of this stuff and putting it into a shared, because I want obviously my wife to be able to have all these things, but at the same time, it has been so fascinating to, at the same time that I'm, in instrument study mode again, to be listening to, and clearly his instructor was kind of a World War II, Vietnam, something kind of guy. He's got all these things he's talking about, that I'll illuminate maybe somewhere in the Discord, but, he has all these things where it's like, you're not going to find this anywhere in a book, but here's how kind of like we did it. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of the stuff that I was listening to today was around partial panel, and just not having any kind of a attitude indicator, and then trying to figure out, obviously airspeed and altimeter, right?
Right.
But he had some other wrinkles in this that I can't wait to run by you, Ben, to see what you think, because it was he kind of had some old school tricks that I thought were really interesting that I also had never heard of.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, anyway, so it's just kind of a neat, one of the many things that are going on at this weird desk that I sit at, but yeah, so there's that. And I want to get back in the plane, but right now I am good.
Good to hear. I do want to give a quick shout out to the gentleman who has made that lovely light sign behind you.
Yes.
The Banjo Pilot was very gracious, and he created these. It's your home airport with the Midlife Pilot logo on there, and it reflects the current weather condition. So green being VFR.
It's so cool. And it's how kind of him to allow us to be sort of guinea pigs for the early stage development of this.
Yeah.
We each got one of our home airport and the Midlife Pilot Podcast logo right there. And you can see it's VFR here right now, which maybe it's a little slow to change because I think there's a storm brewing out there. But yeah, no, it's amazing. And it'll change colors with the flight conditions. It'll also have a strobing kind of almost like
chasing lights
for when the winds get over 10 knots. Such a cool thing. And it took me a minute to figure out how to get mine kind of going. He was very gracious in helping me. And it is the coolest thing.
Mine is sitting here. I can't, it's the way I've got it wired. I wouldn't be able to show it to everybody. But anyway, it's a audio podcast, so people won't be able to see it anyway, but it is absolutely stunning.
Mine went home with Wendell Geek with a bunch of the goodies from Texas, and so I'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
But I also hear there are plans to make those for sale. So
stay tuned for that.
If that hasn't happened, I know where they're going to be, and that's going to be really cool.
So I want to get to Ted. Brian, I think Ted needs a little help. I know we're all impressed with, him showing the world that sport pilots can fly across the country, no problem.
Yeah.
But I believe he's become a little directionally challenged in that he is flying to Portland by way of Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
And that's just not quite on the way. Last time I looked at a map.
Look, when you can only chase tailwinds for so long.
I got more than 50% of this trip has been tailwind, significantly more. And I was thinking of you the whole time, Brian. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, we were in Texas, and I have various things going on, and I didn't want to get to Texas and just leave it at that. So I was like, you know what? I'm already here. It's only 500 miles to New Orleans. I really want to go there and see lakefront. Yeah, only see the beautiful lakefront airport. And Mike Alpha Golf, our patron and friend, was going to come to Texas, and he's one that bowed out because of the weather, which is perfectly fine. And so he took us out to lunch in New Orleans, and I don't remember the name of the place, but
Sharon's.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just remember it's called The Butcher. Is the other part of it?
Yeah. Brian, I had a burger. It was called the Pig Mac. It's basically a Big Mac.
Yeah.
But it was with a pork patty, and it was awesome.
From a butcher.
From a butcher. Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. And then I needed it. I had 6 days to turn around and make it back to the mountain time zone at least. And so I decided to keep going east. And I was that close to Dauphin Island, so I had to go hit that. And then dip into Mobile. I'm like, oh, this arrival, I know, Brian talked about that one being amazing as well. And of course, that runway was shut down and the winds weren't proper for it either.
In Mobile?
Yeah. So
it's Mobile. It's always confusing there, but there's Mobile International, which is the smaller one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I was like, well, I wanted to do extra filming of Dauphin Island as I took off. And so I'll just land at Mobile and take off the cameras. So I landed, and then it's like taxi forever all the way over. I'm like, shoot, it's in front of Signature. This is going to be expensive just to take off cameras. They didn't even come out to park me. So I'm like, well, great. I feel that much better about just dipping in, taking off 2 cameras and taking off again. But yeah. So yeah, I did that, and then ended up in Arkansas.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Did you go to Dauphin Island?
I went to Dauphin Island, and I rode my little scooter up to the bakery.
Oh yeah,
just off the main drag there, and got.
What do you think about that
coffee.
approach?
Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, I mean the whole thing is out over the water. I mean, I felt like some have been like aircraft carriers, but it's surrounded on every side by water, with the exception of the road, which basically continues the runway. Mm-hmm. So it is narrow, and yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So, well, I bet you were glad to have that scooter, because I walked it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it. It's a great, all those neighborhoods are really neat that you go through to get to the main drag and all that. But what a beautiful, beautiful place. I'm so glad that somebody else, I'm glad that you got there, because I know Virgil has been there and some others, but I just think that is in that whole area. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful places down there, but there's just something about that approach and that landing that I will never forget, especially because when I landed there, it was a 15-knot crosswind and a direct crosswind. And it was just such a thrilling, you like the stakes to be a little higher to get challenged sometimes, but when the stakes are basically, if you go off this runway, you're going into the bay.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing to stop you.
There's not a lot of room there. Yeah. And certainly there's no FBO or anything else.
No.
So you are on your own.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. And then I was kind of trying to avoid the weather. And so I ended up in Bentonville, Arkansas. Highly recommended. Great coffee, which I forgot one of my favorite coffee brands is there. And really cool place. There's some great art.
Folgers is there.
Folgers. Yeah. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it Sanka?
Yeah.
You know what Bentonville is famous for, though, right?
I walked through the museum for it. Yes. It's the home of Walmart.
That's right.
About a third of the town is, kind of Walmart industrial buildings.
Right.
It's like merchandising center and and whatever.
Did you land at XNA or was it at their local airport?
It's the local one.
Yeah. Okay.
And which is a really nice facility.
Yeah.
And they're really making the home of kind of adventure flying, and so highly recommend that. Try to remember the artist who works with light a lot, Brian. We've talked about him once before, but he had one of his
James Terrell.
Yeah. So one of the Terrell skyscapes is there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm staying at least one night, maybe 2 nights, but I'm getting up before dawn and going to this place.
Yeah.
And then I read that it's like the first one or the only one that also has LED lights, color LED lights in it to enhance the experience. I'm like, that's not what I was after. Mm-hmm. I want a true James Terrell skyscape experience. And so I didn't go there, but their art museum is fantastic. It's all out in the woods and all this. It's an amazing place. I had no idea. So fantastic place there. And then to avoid the weather, I went southeast, which does not help me get west, and
still going the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. Dipped down into Texas, got some fuel.
Waco.
Night. Nope, not in Waco. What was the name of that airport? Foxtrot 51. There's a prison right next to it. And then I jumped over to where I'm gonna forget what planet is. The American Legends Cub company. I almost call them Cub Crafters, but the Cub manufacturing is at the next airport over, which is where Sulphur Springs. That's where I was.
Oh, okay.
So Sulphur Springs, Texas is where American Legends Cub is at. And so I saw their facility. I didn't go in. I was there after hours for everything, but yeah, did that and then worked my way west, went back into the Denver area, apparently at an airport that a local is now shooting at planes that are overhead. So
another good reason to be in our Discord.
Yeah,
figure out who's getting shot at.
the other gun town. Yeah. So I did that. And then I did the arc that I wanted to do on the way out, which is it's this arc up and over Wyoming. So you should be going straight west to Salt Lake, but instead you go a couple hundred miles north. You just follow this arc through Wyoming, and it stays with lower territory. And went back. It was a little sporty, and I wasn't going to risk landing with high density altitude and everything else. So I went back first thing the next morning, backtracked 50 miles, and landed it at 80 Victor, which is the what we call the airmail airport, and it has crossing grass runways. We're in decent shape. The town has 100 people in it, maybe less. And that's on Sir Drifto's channel. A lot of us have seen it on there. Yeah. I know, we're trying to remember the name of who it was. So
that's where I saw that.
Yeah. So took some pictures, messaged him and said I made it, and then made my way back west. So I was waiting for you to say there's 100 people. Now 99 people that live there. Yeah. So I was north. I was at the top end of Utah. So of course I flew to the bottom end of Utah and spent some time there. And now I'm back near the top end of Utah. So in the from when I left Tango 82, I've done 28.3 hours.
Since you left Tango 82?
Since I left Tango 82.
So then what did you do to get there?
I believe it's about 16 to 18 before that.
Yeah.
So this trip is a lot.
This trip is going to cumulatively be equal to that of which is the entire volume of your private pilot training.
I know. Exactly. Yeah. Or the average of what, GA pilots fly every year. So, but yeah, I'm getting really close to being 500 hours on the plane. So that's up my hours. So that's really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm, from here, it's just one more stop and I'm home. So
nice.
It's been an adventure. But, the other thing is I've had to pack for so many different adventures on this trip. So, I had all the stuff for Tango 82 and I had all the stuff, just my normal stuff, and packing laptops and just all this. So it's been...
You didn't anticipate also having to put parts of your plane in
parts of my plane in my plane. Yeah.
Things usually live on the outside.
Thank you, Mr. Dull Geek, for that. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay. You're not hauling around your broken
I'm not
eggs.
hauling it. Yeah. So now, so the plane has two things on it. It has bugs on the wings. Not terrible. It has some bugs on the wings. The other thing is the belly has oil in it, which I hate because that's very rare with a Rotax plane. So
it's very what?
It's rare. Very rare with a Rotax plane that you have oil in the bottom. But yeah. Well, so, speaking of that.
Well, if you're inverted.
Yes. If you're inverted, there's problems. Yes.
Yeah. I think that was a segue for the belly scrub.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to, I love this bit that Nate Ballard shared with us. He said, I took my now wife to 4 Romeo 9, which is Dauphin Island, in a beach Sierra when we were 18, but haven't been back since.
Fantastic.
So that is so cool. I mean, now you can do it without paper sectionals.
That is also a midlife memory, right? It's she wasn't even my wife at the time. So I love that. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then also just really quickly, I want to say, shout out to Captain Todd, who was such a joy to meet, made it to the fly-in sort of at the very tail end, right after we had finished the podcast or got there as we were doing the live show on Saturday. But still, we hung out, had a great time Saturday night with Captain Todd, and make sure everybody goes and checks out his video on the YouTubes. There will be more coming. We're going to be sharing footage with everybody. We've just had a lot of stuff going on where we can't really get that footage out yet, but we've got a bunch of coverage of the event that we would like to give to everyone to make whatever videos they want from it, or at least to enhance the videos they are making. But Captain Todd, last to arrive, first to make a video, and it's incredible. Nice. It's so great.
Well produced,
and I like his. I like his style in terms of narration, and it's kind of like it moves. His edits move along, but it's just kind of relaxing. It's not like a bunch of crazy transitions and hyper cuts and whatever. I really enjoy your videos, Captain Todd. Thanks for being at the event. Awesome to talk to you and hang, and really appreciated the shout out and everything you said on your video. So let's get to some, I think Captain Todd says, yay me. Well, all right. I take it all back. Let's do a little belly scrub. We are grateful for you all making this the best pilot community that we know of, a positive space where we share everything from training experiences, shared personal minimums, tackle ownership challenges, review flight plans, and best of all, make new aviation friends like Captain Todd. Even though Captain Todd's been around for a while, but it was nice to finally meet Captain Todd in person.
Yeah.
You can connect with us, join our Patreon community from $1 a month, or do a one-time annual Patreon, 25% per episode. You can also do PayPal drops via our website, midlifepilotpodcast.com, but we don't really talk about that much, but you're welcome to do that if you're not a Patreon person. Access exclusive content, including check ride debriefs, killing zone conversations, and more on our Discord. We've got so many debriefs and more coming. Super helpful, super insightful. Each one of them is amazing. 10% supports Freedom Aviation Network's anti-human trafficking efforts. Watch us live on YouTube, Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Share your stories, midlifepilotpodcast@gmail.com. We read all the messages. You might hear yours on the show. And for everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, community feedback, merch, and more, visit midlifepilotpodcast.com. Boom.
Yes. It's all linked from the website. So
Very good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ted. We've got a lot of community updates. A big couple of weeks for Patreon supporters.
Yeah, it's been busy. And it feels especially so by not being connected to the community as much. There's a lot going on. And so at the Landomatic level, we have Mark C. That's Flint's dad. We met him in Texas too.
Yeah.
We have Zach R. And we have Bart K. At the Hershey Bar level, we have Luke's Landing. His name is Luke, if you didn't guess. Luke's Landing. Check out his channel. He's a creative force that helps us out. And he's been rolling into Discord and he's hilarious. So thanks for that. We have Rachel C., Winged Weasel, and Mark Y. At the Beast level, we have Michael M. and Richard F. And at the Caps level, we have Juliet Whiskey. So thanks everybody for joining us. And we hope to make it worth your time.
Yeah. And Caps level, that's massive.
That's great. Yeah.
Thanks to all.
Yeah. And then in Discord, I've missed some of it, but I noticed a couple of things I really wanted to point out. The first was there was a good discussion from Badger Pilot about missing his door being latched and a kind of a domino effect of not following checklists. And Badger's really good about kind of that self-criticism on that and being productive about it. He put up a video that'll be linked in the doobly-doo. And, it was he actually figured that out when he landed, which was great. So, yeah. Ben?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was going to mention the video, but it can't be understated when we have Patreon members that come in and basically have a confessional. They state what they did wrong. And I think it encourages others maybe to do the same thing. And I think you grow quicker when you own your mistakes and you recognize them. And then when you have other people share that with you, I just think it's immensely helpful to everybody. So I wanted to give Badger Pilot a big shout out for stepping up and doing that, and then putting it on YouTube, his channel. He's got a great channel.
Yep.
And I watched it, and all I have to say is I have been there before. I know exactly how you feel. I've done it, and I appreciate you sharing it.
Yeah. I have kind of a little, almost like a reverse memory aid or memory item, which is when I'm doing a longer cross country, I turn off my landing light. If I'm local, I just leave it on. But for the longer ones, I turn it off. And so if I land and I've missed turning it back on, that's my indication that I'm doing a poor job on those checklists.
Yep.
So, it's a relatively safe thing to do. And, so that's a way for me of really, kind of reinforcing that. So.
Well, and it is awesome to recognize those shortcomings and share them because we all have those moments.
Oh,
but But, I think also it's easy to jump on checklists, and that's true. But for at least I do this, and a lot of people have flow checks, right? I mean, I have a flow that I do before I take off. It's the last thing I do. And it's a great time to remind people that most of the planes that we are flying in this midlife stage of early stage flying, most of our planes are very simple airplanes. There's not a lot of buttons. There's not a lot of gauges. There's really not a lot of things. It's unlike when you're training in that very same airplane. It seems like insane, but you can have a flow check that is essentially checking every single thing, and you can do it very quickly. So, I always start at the floor and work my way over to the passenger, past them to the door, up to the latch, down to the breakers, go across, and you can just check everything. So as much as it's nice and definitely have a checklist and do all the checklist things, but I think it's totally doable in most of these airplanes to have a flow check that is essentially checking everything. Yes. And especially if you start, I think the key is just where you start. And for me, once it really got locked in, it was when I started at the floor level. But anyway, that's just my little pointer. I'm not an instructor. But thanks for sharing that, Badger.
As a Piper pilot, how and when do you check the door?
As a Piper pilot, when do you check the door?
Yeah. Do you have a flow before takeoff of
yes,
looking over?
Yeah. My flow is trim set for takeoff, seat belts, doors closed, check physically, closed and latched. And then I come down to do the rest, in terms of breakers and carb heat and fuel mixture to go. And then, whatever, it's all the same thing over and over again. But we also only have one door, which is, it's
so the last thing on the topic is he titled his video "Half of a Cessna Joke." I don't know if you noticed that. It was when one door opens ... which is the classic Cessna joke of
that's good.
One door closes, the other door opens, but besides that, it's a pretty good plane. So yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, and then a bunch of accomplishments that I want to kind of highlight. Plain Places is trying to get their CFI before his dad stopped CFIing, and kind of continue that. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Skip passes written. Big deal there. Erica got her CSIP, which is the, you are a serious instructor and you know what you're talking about now. That's fantastic.
So good.
Hakan passed his check ride in Europe, and that's a fantastic one. Looking forward to that debrief.
Yeah.
Moat has their check ride scheduled, just did their long solo cross country and needs to work on the written. He said, finished my long solo cross country yesterday and have to say it was one of my favorite flights ever. So love that. Finally, another question I got to ask you, Brian, is Alex F. talked about discovering the pitot tube drain on the pilot, or on the Piper pitot drain. And that's on the body of the plane.
So the pitot drain on the actual, because there's a drain on the actual.
Sure, on the actual.
I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah.
I thought he was talking about a separate drain, like a valve on the body of the plane. I just misread that. Okay, cool.
Or maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah.
There's a valve at the bottom of Brian's airplane. He's going to open it up and it's going to be like 30 gallons of water comes out.
Or the plane deflates.
Well, what I did is I just need to peel back all the duct tape I have over all those things. And see what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was cool. Those are the highlights.
Well, speaking of highlights, we've got some listener feedback that we'd like to share. Can we just knock that out?
Let's knock it out.
Okay.
Yeah, prepare yourself, everyone.
This is, wow. This show is moving very slowly, guys. Have you noticed this? Are we moving slowly? It seems like we just have a lot to cover.
Exactly. We do have a lot to cover, and
if we go a little long, we'll go a little long.
We'll go a little long.
All right. I mean, people can listen at faster speed.
The show is the show. So
yeah. Yeah. So, all right. our friend Lord Alpha Juliet, who, by the way, huge shout out to our friend Lord Alpha Juliet for being sort of the glue that held a lot of the event together, spiritually, kind of ringleading. If when we took over that tiki bar, it was like, I look over and Virgil's already got a whole bar set up. I don't know how, like Virgil has an entire bar already set up and functioning with, sort of exotic liqueurs and things or whatever. I don't even know what was going on. Yeah. And then here comes AJ, giant cooler full of stuff. And so at every turn, I just noticed how AJ was really greasing the skids for a lot of the things that were happening at the fly-in, and just want to give a special shout out. And that's why we're going to read this ridiculously long, difficult feedback from said AJ.
Missive. Yes.
So I'm going to have to read it a little quick. And so it's going to be a little bit of, this is sort of like doing a stunt live.
I was going to say, this is, everybody prepare yourselves.
All right. I'm going to, do you remember the FedEx commercials back in the 80s? With the guy that talked fast?
I think the Micro Machines. Similar.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't be able to do that. All right. So, thanks again, Lord Alpha Juliet. Here is some feedback. Okay. And I haven't read this.
You asked for it.
But so I can't wait to get through this. Okay. All right. Theodore and Egg, Ben and Beast, Brian and Lucy, I bid you greetings. It is with humble thanks and no lack of sadness that I write to you this eve. I reminisce on our meeting so few days past with gratitude and sorrow. My heart doth burst with gladness, camaraderie, and fellowship from our recent celebration, but my disposition does not cloud so at the thought of that a full cycle of the moon and stars must transpire until whence we meet again in such a manner. The difference of station and types of machines you have assembled into your alliance of sky charioteers is the most varied I have witnessed and is to be praised, nay, immortalized. For you have done the thing most wanted and yet most challenged. Bring the differently minded together in harmony. Let no man have words against thee or thy works, lest he have me to meet unfavoring. I would wish a special note of thanks and gratitude placed upon the shoulders of several of your cadre. May they be henceforth known as Sir Ted of Weird Town, Sir Wendell of the East, Sir Benjamin of the Forested City, and Sir Barry of Lists. Sir Luke of Landings, yes, and Sir Brian of the Order of Hope. All right, yes, okay, I get it now. Each in their own way did and spoke things during our time together this woefully ended weekend to give strength and courage to mine own journey, and I owe them a greater debt than could be written in mere script. To the long since met friends and first met alike, I thank you for your fellowship, your wisdom, and your patience when in my presence. If ever any in your realm are in need and find themselves in the kingdom of Guntown, they should not hesitate with any request, as any feat within my power or those within my reach shall be theirs without recompense. Cheers to your brand of merry misfits that have seen well to give me a spiritual home. I apologize for my verbosity, but one cannot say enough good things about this event nor the community you have fostered. Keep the faith, Lord Alpha Juliet, Kingdom of Guntown. Wow.
Fantastic. And you were the right person to read that. So
I am blown away. That's very impressive, Mr. Siskin. Very impressive.
Yeah. I love it.
Now,
I love you guys are amazed that I can read.
Well, it's a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself credit.
It's like reading Shakespeare. It's not as easy to.
Yeah. I love Luke's comment. He says, "Can this be our new Pledge of Allegiance?"
And now I get to read the review, and it's going to be like a first grader reading compared to the level.
Well, so by the way, I love that I didn't read this. I said what I said about Lord Alpha Juliet, and to see that he was feeling it the same way. Really appreciate it. Really, really awesome. And, thank you for the workout on the reading. So that was fantastic.
And we'll go ahead and mention to everybody that was able to attend the meetup, we're still taking feedback. Tell us what you think. We'll take suggestions, comments, improvements. We'll see. But we did get a review. This is from Das Rue. And
what? This has never happened before. That Brian almost fell out of his chair. So let's just interrupt this and explain why.
Well, Lou left a comment and said, "Today I learned I'm illiterate."
Yeah. There's just no reason to stay with the flow of the show here. Yeah. You can go back to it. We got
you know what? Signing out. No, Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's just go out on a high note.
Yeah.
This is from Das Rue. The title of this review is In Good Company, and it's 5 stars. As a midlife crisis pilot, I feel like I have found some kindred spirits. So many aviation podcasts seem like constant training. Midlife Pilot Podcast shares the pilot lifestyle. Where are we flying? What is broken? What is going great? I look forward to every episode. I thought that was pretty on point call out.
So, what is broken?
What is broken?
It's usually us. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so as an episode that is apparently all appetizers, there was another thing that I saw roll through this week that I thought was important to cover, which is, kind of put your safety hat on. And Avemco, there's no P in it, Avemco, there we go, sends out an email. And it's also, they have it on our blogs about once a month. But they were talking about something that kind of breaks our normal model of killing zone, where hours 100 to 500 or 50 to 350 are the most dangerous. They talked about taxi mishaps, and they said the first 50 hours, it doesn't happen. It ramps up after 50 hours. And by the time you hit 100 hours, it hits 11% of all claims are taxi mishaps. Not paying attention as you're taxiing, hitting a plane, hitting a light, all of that. They also noted, they also said that after 2,500 hours, the percentage of claims goes up even further. So that's a good example of a place that we get complacent. And I certainly do it. And, that taxiway thing, it's just a good reminder that, all right, past 500 hours, I can do it all. Whatever your mental model is a good one to keep in mind. That here's Avemco saying, from our own data, this is something where it happens more as pilots get more hours. That's interesting. Also at night, when you're doing your run up, oh man,
and you can't really see that you're moving, or, there's a lot of little things that can sneak up on you. So stay on it. And, look, we have people over here at John Toon that I just yell out like, rotate, because they're just going wild on the taxiways.
Right.
It's so I can see that totally computes based on what I've observed. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thanks for that, Ted. We tonight we really just kind of wanted to draw out lessons learned, observations from the fly-in, and go around the horn and see what you've gleaned from the weekend.
Well, I love that we're so bad at podcasting now, because we had this whole trip to throw us all off. We've pulled all our equipment. It's amazing that we even got our equipment back together to function. This is insane. I can't believe we did this. But I was convinced that I was waiting for the one. It's always the one cable. It's, what I mean?
Yeah.
I did show up, I think, with Mark's microphone clamp. So that's pretty good. Anyway, so here we are, 45 minutes in, and we're having, really gotten to our topic. So we'll make it kind of quick. But when we're talking about, the planning versus the actualities and what actually elapsed, I'll just say, I mean, there's a lot that I could get into, and maybe we'll carry some of these things over. But first of all, I'd never flown the plane that heavy, and got to grow a lot of confidence in the airplane flying that heavy, and my ability to sense where it is and what's going on with it, and knowing that calculations and buffer that I was giving to everything was more than enough given the conditions, and I was very happy about that. Saw a lot of there was a lot of weather making decisions all through it, including leaving early and all of those things to try to get down there. Beat Ted barely, only because he did a go around to check out the grass. If you hadn't done an inspection pass, you would have beat us.
Yeah.
So there's a million little things. One quick thing I just wanted to mention before I let it go away in my brain forever is I did give a shout out to Opposing Bases, to a controller that basically told us, you know how it is when it's real quiet and you sometimes go, okay, hey, how do you hear? And I'm not used to quiet anything. So when it gets to be that quiet for that long, I just assume I've flown out of this sector and I'm on my own. So I checked with them. I forget what center it was, or it was somewhere in Texas, I think, East Texas. And he's like, oh no, sorry. Yeah. It's just, you're the only plane I got. And I just said, oh, all right. And then I just was pondering that for a minute. And I thought, well, this is a great time to ask somebody some questions, And then, but basically all I could come up with was like, because he's a center controller. So I said, do you listen to Opposing Bases? And I was going to, rib him on being a center controller if he did. And he said, no, what's that? And I said, oh, well, it's a, controller aviation podcast. And I said, they're very kind and benevolent, but they also rip on center controllers or something like that. And he's like, oh, well, I'll have to check it out. But anyway, there's just so many little moments, so many great things. But the one thing I'll say was the anomaly that I ran into that I learned from, and that was kind of a watershed moment for me, was I had made it, it was me, Luke, and Keith going back to Little Rock from Tango 82, dropped off Keith. Then Luke and I headed east, came across Nashville and John Toon to go further east to drop Luke at Sierra Romeo Bravo, Cookville, was Upper Cumberland, Sparta Airport. So we had just come through the Nashville airspace, and you could see the rain storms and you could see everything, but it was fine. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, the ceilings aren't the best, but I can see everything that's going on, and it does not appear to be getting much worse. And so, but I knew I needed to do a quick turn. And so here you are, after 9 or 10 hours of flying, after a whole weekend of, flying, and the fatigue from the trip, and just all of the stuff that preceded it, all the flying, flying at, 60 knot ground speed the whole way or whatever, to get there in the first place. So here I am on the very last, I'd just flown over the airport that I was trying to get home to. And then here I am landing. I dropped Luke off, quick turn, man, and got to go. Turn around, crank it back up. And then I'm just going right back the same way we just went. And let me tell you, things had changed. There is some terrain around there, and I was realizing I couldn't see some of it. And the ceilings had come down quite a bit, and the rain was starting to be moderate. And I realized, in terms of fuel, I knew that I had an hour reserve, plus I basically had the minimum fuel that I would accept to do that flight, with the actual generous reserve because I do an hour for even whatever. So I get up there, and Ben, I was telling you about this. It was like, I get up there, I'm looking around, I'm like, this doesn't look great. I'm on with the approach, and you can kind of tell when they're sort of like, there's a little bit of a tonality of kind of like, so what are you doing exactly? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It wasn't negative, but it was just, you could tell that they were like, we're going to keep an eye on this fella. Anyway, so I just thought, well, God, I really can't see very well my direct path, but I'm just going to I'm going to skip around this little storm. It wasn't, nothing convective was going on, but it was just rain. I just thought, okay, I'll turn. Okay, where are things starting to look more crisp, and where's the light coming from? And I'm turning and I'm turning and I'm turning and I'm turning and I'm turning. And then I was like, wait a minute. And I looked down and I basically turned around.
Oh, there's an airport right in front of me. Oh, wait, that's the one I just came from.
Yeah.
I basically just turned around looking for a clear place to go. Ben, always, you've been really good about, hey, if you, go up and it's okay to go up and have a look around within certain conditions.
Parameters. Yeah.
But and if you do that, you have to be fully prepared to land again.
That's right.
That's the thing I think a lot of people, why they won't do that is
yes.
that the planned continuation bias of that.
Yes, exactly. So, I definitely had, get home-itis, get there-itis, because I was just ready to be, we were all
right.
Like, I love flying, ready to be done, ready to rest. I hadn't really eaten much. I was just, all my tanks were running low. But the one thing I did do that I was very proud of is I didn't even press at all. I just turned around. I mean, and Ben, you'll be proud of me. Ben, here it goes. You ready for this?
Standing by.
Direct right base entry. Not even a standard pattern entry under
Did
these.
Did you file a NASA report?
Just file those before you leave.
Yeah. I throw them out the window, little papers like propaganda,
Right.
But no, so that's how much I was just like, nope, getting on the ground now. I mean, nobody else was flying.
That's
Nothing
right.
was going.
That's
so
right.
Put it down, and then I just thought, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some fuel just so I can have that done. I pull up to the fuel tank, and of course I get everything pulled out. And then the bottom falls out. It's just pouring rain. And so then I'm trying, if you've ever tried to fuel in the rain and you're trying not to get water in your tanks and, just all that, and you're getting soaked. So, and the temperature had dropped to like 49 degrees or something. So I was freezing, soaked to the bone, admitted defeat. Luke, thank you for coming to get me after you were already halfway home. And Luke put me up at his place, which is an awesome house. And Luke and his lady took good care of me, fed me, put a space heater on to thaw me out, and I had a very, very good night's sleep and got out of there, totally fine the next day, and it was all good. But anyway, it was just really interesting to sort of go through a lot of those weather challenges and all that, and then just really meet one that was sort of insurmountable at the end. And the last thing I'll say is, what I realized, and I want people to take this for what it's worth. Everybody's situation is unique, but I told you this, Ben, when I was talking on the phone. I believe that I have now taken VFR flying as far as one can take it. And I imagine, Ted, you're having similar sort of realization, although, different outcomes there. But I'm just saying, I just realized like I have challenged every weather sensibly, but like that time when I got stuck in tree fort a couple of years ago, I would have made it out of there now. Like that would have not even been an issue now. Right. But all that being said, like, and I know what the margins are. I know what's good. I know what's not good. And I'm not, that's as far, I feel like I've pressed things very far, but to a level that I know that do not need to get pressed any further.
Right.
And so it was kind of nice. I just had this realization of like, wow, I really feel like I have done, because I've done, not everything, but I've done mountain flying. I've done, I don't know. I just feel like I've done a bunch of things. I had a great sense of accomplishment, even in that little moment of kind of failure, because it was like, okay, that is the end of the video game.
Right.
It's kind of how I felt. So anyway.
Well, of the level, at least.
Yeah.
I'll be quick with mine.
Sorry.
We left. It's okay. This is how it goes.
Yeah.
I had Lord Alpha Juliet in the plane with me coming back from New Orleans back up to McCollum. And I wanted to get an approach in. The reason I wanted to get an approach in was because I know I have done a lot of flying that day. And similar to the last fly-in, when I took CFI Sam up with me and I asked him to put me into a helmet fire. I wanted to shoot an approach at the end of the day when I had done a lot of flying. And I will say that I did reasonably well. I started losing, and I was under the hood. I had foggles on. It wasn't IFR, and had AJ as my safety pilot. It would have been an acceptable approach under a DPE, I think. But I was getting off course just a little bit, a dot here, or half dot here, or whatever. But what I found was interesting was I probably had one of the worst landings I've had in a really long time. And I'm not saying that to beat myself up. I literally bounced the plane 3 times going down the runway. And I think that was kind of part of the exhaustion level that I was at, that I just, there was kind of a need, let's just get this thing on the ground. I'm done. But again, I felt like similar to you, Brian, I'm like, okay, now I know what my capacity is after a very long day of flying and what a shooting and an instrument approach. At least I have a window into what that looks like.
Yeah.
So I felt really good about it. And I was, again, a huge shout out to AJ for so many things, but he's always very helpful. Right comments when he needed to make them. He's one of the best safety pilots out there. I know that's going to go to his head and that there's going to be an ego inflation from that, but he's one of the best.
Yeah. I know that he also helped out Wendell Geek on the flight out. And that I know that Mark learned a lot from that. So, that's, it's all good.
And I do want, he is showing me a little love. He's saying in the comments, 2 bounces and a skip, but who's counting? So I appreciate it. Wasn't actually 3 bounces. It was just 2 and a skip.
So I've got to say that the real thing that this trip has been for me is it's been about expanding the envelope, taking the things that I've learned in previous years and things that I couldn't have done before and putting that to practice. Flying over the Rockies is a huge deal, and knowing how to read that situation and how to handle that. Landing at a bunch of high DA airports. Yeah. Today I was at a couple that were 7,500, and it's like, all right, which would have been the first time I'd ever done that.
I want to get more of your. We'll come back to this maybe in another next episode or something, but I want to hear more about your DA flying too.
Yeah.
Just that alone.
Yeah. So, but it's like I had one, and it's in my videos, but one where I really learned about, mountain wave and that kind of turbulence. And I had done a video in the past about learning about DA and pulling the flaps out too early. It's like, those are things that I needed to do before I got to this stage. And this is, Brian, you had the same sort of thing, which was at the first fly-in, it was the first time you'd gone roughly 500 miles, and it was a big deal. And now it's like, okay, that's normal. I can add on to that and add more challenges to it. And that's really what it's been, is expanding the horizons, literally even, but, and taking all that learning and all the things that you need experience to do and taking that to the next step. And that doesn't mean being more dangerous, being less safe in the flying. It's taking all those learnings and, okay, I have the toolbox now to get through the Rockies. I am developing the toolbox of knowing how to fly around thunderstorms. And the difference on that from the beginning to the end of the Midwest section of my trip, there was a huge difference. And so to me, that's the difference. And those are the things that as a newer pilot, you're overwhelmed by that, because 100 miles is huge. You probably can see going 200 miles, but going much further than that, spending a weekend, tying the plane up, a lot of those things are just new experiences. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to have all those happen in the same trip.
Well, to sort of fold this up a little bit, I just want to say, I think that what I'm hearing, the thread that I'm hearing through all of it is, with experience, you start to just figure out, and I think AJ even said this pretty well. He said in the comments here, he said, Brian, you've expanded your knowledge of what you don't know. And I think that's a really profound way of putting it. But ultimately, it's when you are less experienced, it is so difficult to figure out how to sensibly test your boundaries as a practice, irrespective of what those challenges are, and how it's kind of binary to say, well, get out there and test your, go right to the edge and then go a little further, or I don't know, like there's
go up and have a look.
Yeah. Well, there's something, but there's,
Well, no, go ahead.
That's within a lot of things. That's within also always have an out. That's when, all of that. So I think that there's a certain confidence that comes from just having an MO about how you yourself go about pressing your own limits in a way that is safe, and that you have limits and outs and constraints, but at the same time, you're willing to take those things on and not just find yourself trying to avoid those things just as a practice, as opposed to finding a way to fit into those things and make it work wherever it's feasible to actually do that. So the spirit of the whole event was so much about commonality and sharing knowledge and all of that. I mean, Ben, when you and I were talking on the phone, it was sort of like, we're still just kind of in this, we're kind of reeling from how great of a time it was. And it really has taken some time to come back to reality. Ted, you're doing a great thing by just avoiding reality and just staying out there, man. What's going to be great. I can't wait for like the next one where Ted's beard is now like twice as long.
I'm in Key West. Yeah.
It's like tailwind Ted.
Yeah. Exactly.
But anyway, so just all of that, just to say that I'm so glad that everybody made good decisions, and we continue to uphold those people that, as champions of good decision making. Michael Gillette and some others, for sure, made very good decisions, and Richard, Tri-Pacer Richard, and others, where you want to get there, you really want to get there, and you just choose the right option, which is to not do it.
Yeah.
I just can't say enough about that, and I think that everybody has a sense of when it's right to press those buttons and to push those boundaries a little bit, and how to go about it. Always rely on your instructors as much as anything else, please. But massively awesome that the only casualty of the whole thing is Ted's wheel pants.
Yep.
And that's it. And you know what? Crunch all you want.
Fine.
It's like Doritos. Crunch all you want. We'll make more. Except for maybe your Austrian German plane. But
yeah. I've already heard back from them. So.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. And what did they say? Good luck?
It's under 1 AMU, and most of the parts that I need are in the US. So
nice.
It'll be good. And this is the other thing, I didn't even mention it. I have not noticed a speed difference at all with the wheel pants off.
How about that?
I thought I'd noticed 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's possible that it's faster. And when I get home, I will crunch a lot of data. So
interesting.
Anyway,
and one quick other thing I just want to say, shout out to Cheryl also. She's got an amazing airplane. We all wanted to see it. We all wanted to actually steal her airplane. But just out of annual, the day that the fly-in was to begin, chose not to just jam this thing fresh out of annual and send it for an hour or whatever it was going to be.
Yep. Smart
move. So
congrats on that. Yeah.
Let me wrap this way. I'm very proud of the members to be a part of a community with people making these types of decisions. And the community within them is always super, super supportive of each other, not of us giving them shout outs and thanking them for doing it. Everybody is applauding everybody that's making these decisions. And again, I'm just proud to be in the mix with people like this. So
I got one more thing.
Okay.
I did hear from our friend Chris Moran, and
good.
He just did his BFR. So
cool.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So congrats to Chris always. And he was sorely missed.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And we'll find a way to get him. I guess we're just going to have to go back to Fairmont, guys, right? We might even do like a non-event event again, right? And let's just go up there. I loved it.
Yeah,
me too.
That was a great, non-event. Yeah.
So
it's good.
Anything else, gentlemen, for the good of the order?
I've got two things. This is like all appetizers, all dessert. So we've got to mention May 21st, our friend Erica, Aerosafe, is doing a presentation for NAFI. This is not just for flight instructors, for NAFI Mentor Live. It's called When Mistakes Happen, the Flight Instructor's Response. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Mr. Ballard did one about when students freeze on the controls. We learned from that, whether you're an instructor or not. It's a free thing. I think you get wings credit if you're watching it live. You don't have to be a NAFI member. You don't need to be a CFI. You'll get knowledge out of it. So highly recommend that. That'll be linked to the doobly-doo. The other thing that I have to mention in the doobly-doo is Van's Aircraft, now that they're out of some financial troubles, are able to do R&D again. And their RV-15, which is their high wing tail dragger, that's been under development. They put out a great video about going from making the first prototype to making the second kind of design for manufacturing model. All the things they do for testing it, the tweaks they're making, why spars are further apart, great things like that. You don't have to be interested in kit building or in Van's Aircraft to enjoy that. It is a great video if you're into aviation at all. So highly recommend that. RV-15 development video. It'll be in the doobly-doo. So thanks.
All right. And you're already getting corrections in the chat here. Okay.
Always getting corrections from CFIs. I love it. Yes.
Talk about mistakes and CFIs and how to handle them. Nate handled your mistake perfectly by clarifying simply in the chat with no fluff, no extra language. It's basically his way of saying my controls. But he basically just wanted to specify that wings credit for Erica's NAFI presentation is available for live or after.
Yep. That's great. Yeah. I remember in the Mentor Live thing that they do, in the right-hand column, there's a section where you click wings credit and it takes you back to FAA, does a quick little, one of those little quizzes they do for wings credit and you get it. So it's good that it's after the fact too. That's really good. But
all right. So tonight's bit of wisdom for the audience: take life with a grain of salt, plus a slice of lemon and a shot of tequila. Signing off, episode 128 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.